this video is a bit late. The reasoning for that, and I think there's good reasons, because I keep making these promises that I'm going to have these videos out by a certain date. Then I always seem to fail, and I do have good reasons behind it. January for me has been chock-a-block. I spent about a week of January in bed really ill. I had a week away with my family, and then for the rest of the time, I was honest to God, mostly working away from home. So we've got to February, and here I am with my 2024 movie roundup. I haven't got my mic today because I've got the new iPhone and I forgot to buy an adapter to plug the mic into. So we're going to do without the mic today as well. We're going back to old school video making here a bit, back to old movie bug, because instead of having loads of clips, I'm more or less just going to show you the movie posters so we can see what movie we're talking about. It makes more sense for this video because we've got a fair few films to go over today. And this is going to be a bit different to how I've done it in previous years. I'm going to go over my top 10 worst films of the year, and then we're going to move swiftly on to my top 10 best films of the year. And I want to lay down some ground rules first. I go by UK releases on my Letterboxd, which is where I've gone to get my list from. It's an easy way to keep up to date with how I'd rank my favourites throughout the year. So on my Letterboxd list, you'll see things like Poor Things, The Holdovers, The Iron Claw, The Zone of Interest, all high up. They're great films. But I've decided not to include them in my video because it might confuse some people. Because they are technically 2023 releases, because they come out in 2023 in other countries. Other films I'm not including on this list are going to be films like Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, all really good films, and the reason I haven't included them here is purely because, again, I go by UK releases, so I thought I'd leave them off, so you're not going to see films like that on this list. So basically I'm just including films which come out in 2024 everywhere, just to make that simple. It's the fairest way, I think, to do it for someone like me, and the way that I've been ranking films on my Letterboxd. Also, I haven't seen every film, so if you're going to go, why didn't you talk about this movie? Why didn't you talk about that? And you're curious as to see where I'd rank it, go check out my Letterboxd list. It's on there. You can see it. So don't come at me going, where's this? Because the odds are I probably have seen it and it just didn't appear in the top 10 worst or best or didn't get an honourable mention. But it's one I probably have seen. Or, yeah, I just haven't seen it because I don't watch everything. Also, if you do go look at my Letterboxd, you'll see, especially with the worst films, there's a few films I skipped over because there's a couple really, really dud films that went to Netflix and you just expect to be bad. Like Uglies, for example. And I didn't even feel the need to include it because we all knew that was going to be bad anyway. So I thought, what's the point of even including it? Because there's films that should have been better, films that probably could have been better and deserve to be on this list more. Because that was always going to be bad. Right, let's get started with some honourable mentions for my worst. We're going into the worst first. Let's get all the negativity out the way with, then we can move on to the positives. So some honourable mentions for worst. I've got to put in the two M. Night Shyamalan film, his and then his daughter's, so his film being Trap, not very good. It's a complete mess of a film and kind of hilarious in that third act. And his daughter's film, The Watchers, it's just nonsensical and it just got laughable, and the horror aspects, there was nothing scary about this film. Red One, do you know what, it's not absolutely dog shit like I was expecting it to be, but it's really not very good. It's just cringe, and I'm really sick of seeing The Rock in these sort of films. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, this one hurts me. I really liked Afterlife, and I liked the Ghostbusters a lot, but this film was so boring, overcrowded, and a sloppy mess. This one might upset a few people. Smile 2, a few people like this film. I just thought it was really boring, to be honest. I didn't find it creepy at all, and I thought the characters were really uninteresting, and just, yeah, the whole film just bored me, to be honest. Joker 2, I'm not going to pronounce that insufferable, obnoxious title it went for. This film, it has okay moments, I'll say that. It's not a complete dumpster fire like some people make out. But the musical element, and this comes from someone who loves musicals, doesn't work in this film. It felt so shoehorned in and it pulls you out of the film at every chance it gets. Weird movie. And now I'm going to finish up with my honourable mentions on Moana 2. And again, this isn't awful. Kids are going to like it. There are entertaining moments to it. I think this film just annoys me, as we made clear in my last video here on YouTube. It annoys me because it's just such an obvious cash grab, and they didn't have a clear story to tell for a movie. It was clearly a TV series. They adapted it. It felt very lazy, very rushed, and the whole film felt like a big sloppy mess. Anyway, now let's get into the top 10 worst. These are films which I don't really have much defence for. There's a couple little bits I can defend on the later ones, but as we get closer to number 1, they just get bloody awful. So anyway, let's get started. Number 10.
Black
Number 10 is going to a musical biopic, and that's going to be Back to Black, of course, about Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse is someone whose music I've always enjoyed. I've never known much about her, but my God, I know that the Amy Winehouse fans were not happy about this film, and it just paints a really weird picture of her. Like, are we supposed to like her? The film's really grey, flat, and just depressing. And I know that she led a very depressing and hard life. Massive drug abuse, very bad relationships. But my God, this film really just paints her as a very bad person as well. It's a very unfair movie. And I think that you can tell that the director was really in over her head. I mean, this is the director of the 50 Shades of Grey films, I'm pretty sure. And you could tell there's no style to this film. There's no flair to it. It's just grey, miserable, and I think damaging, really, to Amy Winehouse's legacy. And I don't know what she was like. Maybe she was like this. I don't know enough to say. But I just think that it's a really unfair picture to paint in many ways. And again, I know how upset the fans were with this. And I put myself in their shoes, how I'd feel if someone made a bad biopic like this about an artist I love. And it would very much annoy me. So yeah, Back to Black. I really didn't enjoy this film. I thought it was just really, really ugly.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Number 9, Argylle. Matthew Vaughn's a director I really liked for a while there, and then he's slowly just deteriorated, and now he's hit rock bottom with Argylle. Is anyone else really worried about the next Kingsman film? Because I ain't got my hopes high for this one. Argylle had such a good cast, but man, this film was terrible. The plot was laughable. The characters were so obnoxious. And then they do all these twists and turns in the movie, and honestly, it's just, every twist is just laugh out loud. It's like they went for the most ridiculous plot they could. There are glimpses at the start of an interesting plot. This character who's swept into this world of chaos, and she has to go along with it. And that there could have been a fine film. Wasn't going to be anything incredible. But they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. So the boat is so far out that it's just inevitable that it's going to sink. The second and third acts are just so awful. And even the action's poorly shot. It's boring. It's boring to watch. Wasted cast, annoying film. None of the jokes land. Just not very good.
Eddie, I'm with you to the end.
Number 8, okay, Venom: The Last Dance. I don't know how anyone defends these Venom films, to be honest, because number 1 was just average at best. The second one was hilariously bad, and then this one just takes it to another level, I think. I don't really know what's worse between this and Let There Be Carnage, but they're both just awful. The character of Eddie and Venom, the chemistry just doesn't feel that tight. Most of the jokes don't land. Venom is just annoying. They both come off actually quite cringy, I think. And I can't believe that I'm saying that about Venom. Venom's such a cool character. I can't believe that they made him cringe. The villains of this film are just, they're just mindless monsters, really. There's no real interesting threat there. The plot is just, it just feels rushed, tacked on, like they needed to make a third film and they didn't have a great plot. So they were like, let's just make it go on this adventure with monsters chasing him. The big villain that they tease in an end credit scene is just hilarious because they sort of wrapped Venom's story up and then they've announced that the Venom universe is over, but they teased a big villain at the end, so smart Sony. Yeah, we go on this whole subplot again with like human characters that no one cares about, and it's got the guy who played the Lizard, so everyone thought he was going to be the Lizard, but then he wasn't. He was just a random guy, and it just makes you wonder, like, what was the point in that? You literally had so little story to tell. You have all the access to all these cool characters in the Spider-Man universe, and you just focus on a random family. Reminds me a lot of when Joss Whedon focused on that random Russian family in Justice League. It's like, you've got all these cool characters, but you need to do this because you have so little plot that you want to tell. Yeah, Venom: The Last Dance was just bad.
And you will become a legend.
When the man comes around.
Thank God the Marvel Sony universe is over. Kraven next. And the reason I've put Kraven below Venom, because I think Venom was a much more sloppy film. But the thing with Craven is, it was just so boring. Like, I just didn't care what was going on. I the whole time, I was like, I don't care about this character. I don't care about any of the side characters. Everything about this movie was just bleh. I watched it about 2-3 months ago, and I've already forgotten most of the plot for this one. I can't even tell you what happened. All I know is that Rhino shows up, and he looks ridiculous. Fair play, they didn't put him in a mechanical suit like the Amazing Spider-Man. It made him look like the proper Rhino sort of from the comics, but the face and the build, it just didn't look right. And then the Chameleon pops up, and I know he sort of looks like this in the comics, but there's something really off about the CGI, and it just looked really weird. Aaron Taylor Johnson was just wasted in this. He's an okay actor, but man, there's just no personality to Craven here. Nothing bleeds through. Russell Crowe, I don't know what it is about him playing like superheroes dads at the minute. Like, the poor guy, every comic book movie he seems to be in lately has just been complete trash, and he just terribly miscast, and the accent, not as bad as his Dark Universe accent, but not good. Ooh, she's gonna be an interesting one. Emilia Perez, yeah. I've put this here because I think that this is such a disaster of a movie. And it might actually bump up a couple places above the 2 Marvel films I've mentioned. But the fact that this is going up for the most Oscars this year, including Best Picture, hilarious. Are the Oscars just ticking boxes here? Do we think? You know? The only thing about this film I'd say I can accept is Zoe Saldana's performance. She was really good in this film. And that's probably the only positive I have to say about this film. I just found everything about this film really uninteresting. I think it's the style of directing here. There's nothing interesting about this film. There's nothing captivating about it. The plot is interesting, but they just sort of fizzle it out, and then they end up in this final act with this final showdown, which, again, reminded me a lot of Argyle, whereas you've got a film here with a cool premise, and Emilia Perez executes it better than Argyle for the most part, where they stretch it out for the first 2 acts. It's really dull, really boring, and really depressing to watch. But then you get to the final act and it just explodes into this nonsensical sequence where you roll your eyes super hard. And yeah, I just think they put this filter over the movie that's ugly. The songs are just, they're really bad. None of them seem to flow well. None of them are interesting. And I know it shouldn't be upbeat and happy blah 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 music all the time, but man, the music in this just isn't very good. So yeah, I think this was made as a bit of an Oscar bait movie, and it somehow has succeeded, which is shocking because the film really isn't very good. And if this wins Best Picture, I will say this now, this is going to be the worst Best Picture winner ever. I haven't even seen every film that's won Best Picture, but I know none are going to be this bad. Okay, and then I've chucked Damsel on here, starring Millie Bobby Brown. I mean, Millie Bobby Brown's become a household name. She's a big actress. Damsel, big budget went into this. I mean, you know, this girl goes into a cave to fight a dragon. You think, yeah, you can't get that too wrong, can you? Apparently you fucking can. This film was just, it was so stupid. And then on top of that, I think you have some of the worst acting I've ever seen from Millie Bobby Brown. She's good in Strange Things, I'll give her that. And she's not too bad in the Enola Holmes films. But everything else I've seen her in outside of that, it's just not been good. It's not been good. Here, really, really bad performance, I think. The dragon, I wasn't a fan of the whole face that they put on it. It looked ugly. All of the twists and turns they do at the end are just predictable. And you've seen this film 100 times, guys, honestly. You'll watch it and you'll go, saw that coming a million miles off. And I just think they stretched this film to 2 hours. And I'm still really surprised how they managed to do it. Because the truth of the matter is, this ain't a 2-hour movie. There's really not much to it. It's a standard girl trapped in this cave, there's a big monster in there somewhere, and they just stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, and yeah, doesn't work well.
He says he's right behind you.
But it was just my imagination.
Imaginary. Blumhouse, man, this studio's gone downhill so much. I feel like I'm getting drained talking about these bad films, but Imaginary was ridiculously bad. No scary moments to it. The monster is just, it sucks. All the characters are terrible. The ending, again, they do a twist at the end and it's just predictable and it don't work. I'm lost for words on this one. This film just sucks. It's just so bad.
You're showing off.
Maybe a little.
Number 3, Madame Web. I'm just losing energy on these bad ones. Madame Web. They got the cast to sign up to this because they all thought they were in an MCU film. Even in the press for this, they were all talking about how they were looking forward to meeting up with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's like, keep dreaming. And I think Marvel thought by casting, 4, 5 incredibly attractive women all in the leads here that this would sell tickets, and clearly didn't. It got me in the cinema, though, say that. So the villain is one of the worst villains I've ever seen. The portrayal by the actor is awful. I don't even know what his powers are. Why he was dressing up like Spider-Man, I don't know, because I don't even know if there is a Spider-Man in this universe. Dakota Johnson just looked like she didn't want to be there. We all know what she's like as an actress when she doesn't want to be in a film. You can tell that her performance isn't 100%. And it's a shame, because she can be a really good actress in Up But a Falcon. But here, you could tell she was coming in for a cash grabber. She was here to make some money. The trailers are hilarious, how they tease you into thinking we're going to get some Spider-Woman action, and you honestly get it for 10 seconds, if that. And the film's just really, really dumb. Really dumb. And there's so many errors in this film. Continuity errors, editing errors. It's just really bad and a waste of some really good talent.
How are we gonna get through this?
Number 2 is going to a film which I remember seeing the trailers for this in like IMAX and stuff, and I thought, you know what, this looks like it could be fun. I always knew it was going to be bad, but I was like, it could be fun bad. Turns out it's just bad, and that's Borderlands. Borderlands was, like, honestly unwatchable. I went to the cinema, so I was sort of stuck there, to be honest. Jack Black plays the most insufferable little robot ever. All the other characters, again, really annoying. The young actress in it, who's popped up in a few films now, good young upcoming actress. Even she was really annoying in this. Kate Blanchett didn't look like she wanted to be there either. Kevin Hart, I just don't know why this man still keeps getting cast in movies, to be honest. He's just annoying, isn't he? Am I the only one that finds this? I don't really find it funny. He just talks loud. Jamie Lee Curtis, hilarious in the build-up to this, slagging off Marvel films. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, especially of late, but the fact that she was slagging those films off while promoting this is incredible, because this is worse than probably any MCU film I've ever seen. And the film is just somehow makes itself so uninteresting when it's in a very fun, vibrant, unique universe. So it's incredible that they managed to make it this boring. But then again, like a lot of films I've said today, it goes for this twist at the end, which you saw coming a million miles off, and they don't even explain it. And it's just... I remember my mate leaning over to me in the cinema going, why is this character doing all this? And I was like, I don't know. They haven't explained it. Borderlands, really, really bad. I couldn't give you any redeeming qualities about this film, to be honest. Maybe the visuals are okay for the most part, with a couple off moments. And then I've got a film which I just have no redeeming features for here at number 1, and that is Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. I'm not a Zack Snyder fan, I'm not. I like a few of his films. I actually don't mind his Man of Steel or his Justice League, even though it's far too long. Because I know that there's a little cult out there for the Snyderverse, and they're already gunning for James Gunn, even though he's going to do a much better job, I can tell you that now. And I know that the Snyderverse they're just, it's like an itch that won't go away, isn't it? But these Rebel Moon films are just abysmal. They're just stealing from every other franchise, whether it comes from Star Wars or the real life Nazi party. It's just so uninteresting. I couldn't tell you a single thing about the characters. I couldn't tell you why these films need to be this long. Visually, they're actually quite ugly at times, and the humour just doesn't work. Like, Anthony Hopkins playing some stupid-ass robot in this one, and it's hilarious. The lines he has, the dialogue, it's full of cringe dialogue, which doesn't make sense. And I just don't think I've ever been so uninterested in a sci-fi blockbuster with a budget like this. So, yeah, Zack Snyder takes the number 1 spot. And, in years to come, with all his upcoming films, I'm sure it won't be the last time we see him in the top 10 worst. I just don't think he's a very good director, yeah. Great cinematographer when he's not putting that ugly filter that he put in the future scenes over the top. But let's do the top 10 best. I have a lot more fun talking about these films because I have more to say. It's not just, yeah, the whole film sucked. So let's do some honourable mentions for the top 10 best. So, Heretic. I really want to give this a shout out. Really enjoyed this. Hugh Grant, great in it. Young Woman and the Sea. Daisy Ridley hasn't had a very great career since Star Wars. Even the Star Wars films weren't the best that she was in. But I thought Young Woman and the Sea was surprisingly really good, telling the true story of the first woman to swim the English Channel. Go watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Surprisingly really good. The Apprentice. I'm not a Donald Trump fan. Not that that matters, and not that I'm going to get into politics here. But I watched this because I was genuinely interested in his story and I thought it was very interesting. Sebastian Stan gives a very good performance in this. Yeah, it's going to be a very controversial film, but I think it's quite good. Quiet Place Day One. I really like the Quiet Place films and I thought Day One was really cool. It took more of that Aliens approach, making it more action. And it was cool to see it set in the city instead of in the suburban area. And the last film I want to give a shout out to is The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare by Guy Ritchie. Film which no one went to see, starring Henry Cavill. This man unfortunately tanks at the box office for some reason. But I thought this was really good fun. Love war films, I'm always a bit of a sucker for them. And I think with this one, there's a lot of great action and just a really fun movie. Not anything absolutely mind-blowing, didn't deserve to be in my top 10, but I think it was a really, really solid fun film, which I'd recommend to anyone who likes Guy Ritchie films. A little bit of a comeback for him. Best film since The Gentleman. Let's get into the top 10. Here we go. My favourite animated film last year. There was some good animated films last year, to be fair. There were no Studio Ghibli, but of course we did have Inside Out 2 as well, which I thought was really good. But DreamWorks been on a roll lately, and I love this new animation style that they're going with for this film, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I thought this was a really heartwarming story, and I loved the direction it went in. It wasn't just your bog standard, this robot lands and he becomes part of this animal community. You actually go on a bit of an adventure with him. And I just thought it was really well made. And the voice cast does a great job. Bill Nye's in this. Anything with Bill Nye, I'm just going to love. So yeah, I just think that this film had a lot of heart to it, a lot of warmth, and great characters, great animation, great pacing. Wasn't too long. And I'd actually love to see another one of these. I don't think we're going to get it. In fact, I'm hearing some really worrying rumours that apparently this animation style DreamWorks are going to stop doing. Hope that's not the case because I've loved it with this and Puss in Boots. Wild Robot gets my 10th spot. Really, really good film. Really enjoyable. Substance, which I saw this in the cinema. I didn't know much about it going into it, and wow, what a film. It really just goes balls to the wall. It's going to show you everything it needs to make you cringe inside because of the body horror aspects to this. There are bits where you see bones cracking and bodies opening, and it's a hard, horrible watch, but it's done so well and so brilliantly that you can't look away. I thought the performances were brilliant in this. And I've got to say that the actual concept of the film is really, really incredible about these two people sharing their time. And you see the selfish side of humans when they get a bit of attention. And it's a really interesting plot in the way it moves forward. And the ending, the final act, it goes hard. Maybe some people would say it's too over the top. I can see why some people wouldn't love this film, maybe not even like it. But I think that the ending, it really just pushes the boundaries and explores the fun, wacky side of what this film is going for. And yeah, on top of that, it's just great cinematography and eerie score. Some really memorable moments. Really, really good film.
God bless America.
Coming in at number 8 is a film which maybe not many people would have on their lists. I think this is one I just personally really enjoyed, and that is Civil War. I really like Alex Garland's films, and for me, I got to see this one in IMAX, and I just had a really good time with it. It was a film I didn't know much about going into, and I didn't really expect it to be about the photographers, because I've never seen a film about the photographers of war, and it's something that's never, as far as I'm aware, hasn't really been explored in films. Maybe it has, and there's a film that I'm missing out there, a really great film. But for right now, this is the only film I've seen explore this, and I just thought it was fascinating seeing kind of veterans of this profession going into a job, going into one of these wars, this made-up civil war across America in this case, and taking on an apprentice, a young girl who's learning it all, and seeing how it changes them all. And they get into some really interesting scenarios, and with this, I just thought it was just made so well. I think that Alex Garland is such a fantastic director that there's a really eerie style to the filmmaking here, which works beautifully. So yeah, again, maybe not one that's going to be on everyone's lists, but I really connected with this film. I bought it on Blu-ray, I've watched it again since, and I just think it's a really good watch. It's really unique and just captivating. That's the way I'd describe it. I'm just always so captivated when this film comes on.
Bend for your king. Never.
Coming in 7th place is going to be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, a film which, again, maybe isn't going to be on everyone's list. I think that Planet of the Apes, this is a little step down from the previous 2 films especially. I mean, Matt Reeves done them, so, you know. But I think this is probably on the level of Rise. It's back up there. It's a really good film. There's a lot of entertaining moments to this. It doesn't just go for the same style that the other ones had. I think this film acknowledges it's the start of a new trilogy, and with that, we're going to have a bit more fun here. You're learning about new characters. We're going to have some new villains before we get to the sad emotional depth of what these films are, where you can see this changed world. We're going to have a bit of fun with this first film. We'll get to that probably in the 2nd or 3rd film. But this film has to do a lot. It has to set up a lot of characters, and I think it does a good job with that. I really like our new lead character. Obviously, he's no Caesar yet. It's only one film. Let's be a bit fair to him. Maybe he could be a Caesar by the time we get to the 3rd film, if we get there, if these films keep making money. But I think he works really well. I think the villain's great. He's so fun. The actor playing him, you could tell in the press tour, he was having so much fun with this. And I thought that the young human companion in this one, because we always get a human companion, I thought she was great, and I'm hoping maybe she returns. But, you know, these Planet of the Apes films always seem to have a new character in the lead when it comes to the humans. But I love the Planet of the Apes films. I love the originals as well. People know that I'm a big fan of this series of films, and I had a really good time with this one. I've watched it twice now, and I just think it's very entertaining, and it's a great addition to that universe. It's crazy to me that we've got all these epic big universes out there like DC, Marvel, Star Wars, and they keep fumbling it lately. But a film about talking monkeys somehow always pulls it off. It's crazy. Challengers, and man, I can't believe this film isn't going up for any Oscars. It's just fucking criminal. If it's about a fictional scenario in the world of tennis. Yeah, I think everyone was quite looking forward to seeing this film because you got a great cast here. So you got Zendaya starring in this, who of course is very popular at a minute, and it's about her relationship with these 2 tennis players, which is set up very early on in the movie. And of course, there's a lot of love interest going on there. There's a big love triangle scenario, but then it also does come down to the competition of tennis, and you see it on and off the court. But I just think this film just had a lot to say, and I think that it was just so beautiful. The cinematography was fantastic, and the score was outstanding. And I've got to mention the final couple minutes of the film, the final 4 or 5 minutes of the film, where you get this one-on-one match between the 2 lead guys, and Zendaya's in the audience watching. It is maybe one of the best moments of cinema from 2024. It is stunning to watch. I was just sat there like, wow, this is jaw-droppingly beautiful. With the score and the way it was shot, it all moulded together to just make one of the best bits of cinema in the last couple of years. Beautifully paced film. Really good film overall. It's really good.
Are you sure you want to do this?
5th place, we have Alien Romulus. Now, I really like the Alien films, and I've got to say, one of the things Disney has done a lot with is the Alien and the Predator films. They seem to be failing with quite a few other things, but I think Alien and Predator, Prey with Predator was just really good, and I think Romulus has been a really good comeback for the Alien films as well. It takes it back to basics, yeah, and a lot of people saying it pretty much is the same as the original film, and yeah, you know, you've just got an alien running around on a ship with a bunch of characters. But then this film does take some risks as well, especially in the final act with a very creepy new alien. I really like that. I thought it was really cool, and the way that the story unfolded, the way that characters got picked off in the order they got picked off was a bit unexpected, and I thought it was really good, really clever. I really enjoyed the crew we followed, which is great because the crew we followed in Covenant was ridiculously bad. So it was nice to get back to basics of, you've got a smaller crew and you sort of know all of them and you know what their deals are, and it works well. And the film does an equal mix, I think, of giving the fans what they want. It gives them more or less exactly what you expect from an Alien film, but then it does take the risks as well. And I think it does a great blend of that, and overall you get a really good film, and I was very happy with Romulus.
The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Coming in fourth place is going to be Furiosa Mad Max. I mean, these Mad Max films are just brilliant. I really like the original, and Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, is fantastic. Thunderdome has grown on me a bit, but I can see the flaws in that one. Then, of course, it came back in 2014 with Tom Hardy, and that was one of the best action movies ever. And I've been so looking forward to this film. And there's a couple pacing issues for sure, and there's rocky CGI moments. But I loved this film because of the lore, the world building it does. It takes the characters which we got hints of. You get to see all these villains, and they're all serving the guy with the scary gas mask, whose name I've forgotten. But all of a sudden you get to learn his ranks, and the world building I think is great. You get to see things that you hear about in the last Mad Max film, like Gastown and all these other places and these locations. And I think the new villain played by Chris Hemsworth is brilliant. You do see him weakened quite early on, and maybe that's a little bit of a fault in the film, because then you do wonder, how's he going to be the big bad for the rest of this film? But I think they then pick that up and carry it really well. And I've rewatched this film 3 times, I think. I've watched it a lot because it's just so much fun, the energy that this film brings. And then with it, just the cinematography, it's gorgeous to watch, and the action is so well shot. It's so unique. It's such a bonkers, weird world that you can't not love it. And I think Mad Max Furiosa really deserves to be on this list because of the effort they went to for filmmaking. It's criminal that not many people saw this film, because it is fantastic. And I think it will go on like the last Mad Max film, where streams and word of mouth, it will be regarded as such a great film. But unfortunately, yeah, maybe the box office results is going to stop it from getting another film. For a while, at least.
I'm guilty of looking ahead instead of right in front of me. At you.
Third is going to a film called We Live in Time, which, again, maybe not one that everyone's going to have on their list, but I just really connect with these characters. I think there's something really heartwarming about films like this. You see these two characters pushed together because of an incident where one of them's hurt, and you see them fall in love through that. And then as the film progresses, it's the other character that then has these unfortunate, scary real-life problems occur, and you see their relationship really hinder because of it. And you see them go on this incredible journey. And I really, really think that there's 2 things I loved about this film. One of them is Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh's chemistry. They're both incredible actors, and they just work so well on screen together. And second is I really loved it telling the story out of order. I thought it was really interesting. It forces you to engage, and the film throws you from one emotion to the next really extremely. You'll go from a moment early on in their relationship where they're super happy to right near the end where they're having big problems, and it'll throw you right back to the start. And I think it was just a really, really good film just to experience on the big screen like that, because it makes you feel every emotion that you possibly could in this scenario. So yeah, We Live in Time really deserves a shout. Second, I'm going with Anora. Sean Baker's a director I really like, and I would actually say this is my second favourite film from him. So coming in second, it being second, his first, the film that I prefer is called The Florida Project. Yeah, that film's just bloody amazing. I think that would be my favourite film from the year it came out. But Sean Baker's such a fantastic director. Every film I've watched from him recently has been great. This, Florida Project, and Red Rocket. He's definitely an acquired taste. He very much shows the really dirty, horrible side of some people, and he really does everything he can to capture it and make it feel as real as possible. And here you absolutely get that. Here he more focuses on the side of very rich, very arrogant people. And you feel that through all the characters, even the lead character, where at times you're made to feel like this person's kind of horrible, she's just after money, she's a money grabber. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you feel absolutely devastated for her. And I think it's an incredible, incredible way to tell a story that he's able to make you feel these things towards these characters. The acting is superb. And I think the film, as I say, does throw so many things at you where you will feel so upset for a character, but then there are really funny moments in this film as well. I think Anora's great. The pacing of it's just fantastic. The filmmaking itself is amazing. Sean Baker is brilliant director, and I'm pleased he's finally getting his moment at the Oscars because he deserves it and it's overdue.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope! May thy knife chip and shatter.
Coming in first place, though, I could get rid of my notes because I know what films to talk about after this. It's gotta be Denis Villeneuve's film Dune Part 2. The Dune films are just becoming the modern Star Wars original trilogy, aren't they? Like, for people today, they're just incredible films. And I think the thing is, this film has actually made me appreciate the first one more. Because I rewatched the first one after I saw this, and I was like, I really appreciate all the build-up this film did now. Because at the time, I was like, Dune's really good, but it was a bit slow. But now you watch them back to back, and part one's just as incredible, I think, now. It's weird how it's elevated that first film. The Dune Part 2, it takes all the elements of the first one and improves on it. You get the epic showdown. This film just feels like on another level. It's just so epic, and the character work it does is brilliant. The lore building it does is fantastic, and it just makes me really excited to see what's coming next. And along with that, it's a big sci-fi blockbuster film, but you get some incredible moments in it. The action is so well done. The cinematography is gorgeous, and the look of Arrakis, this planet, and the way that it gets across these powers and abilities that some people have, it's just so beautifully and well done in a creative and fresh way. It's going to stand the test of time, this film. These two films have been absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait to see the third one. There we go, guys. It was back to basics a bit for this video for me. And again, I want to say to you that there are going to be a lot more videos coming this year, but you guys know me by now. They'll come when they come, unfortunately. Life is just so busy. My life is so different to what it was 2 years ago when I was making videos here on YouTube. But I do want to say thank you to everyone who's kept up with the channel during 2024. I really love this new era of the channel. I've really enjoyed putting out videos, which I'm personally so much more happy with. I know that other people are probably going to prefer the way my channel was before, and that's okay. Those videos are always going to be there. I'm not going to delete them. But 2024 has been a really good year for me. A lot of fun that I've had here on YouTube. I'll always be grateful for the support. I'm hoping to have another great 2025. I've got a few videos in mind that I want to make. I like making videos as movies come out, movies I really want to talk about, so it's always going to be a bit of a coin flip on what films we're going to talk about this year. But of course, we've got another couple Doctor Who box sets coming out, so I'll definitely do videos on them, because I know that I've got a few people who always enjoy watching me talk about them. So yeah, but anyway, guys, thank you so much for everything this year. Thank you so much for watching my video. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all next time for another video.